Hi guys, welcome to another 10 days of Halloween video. This video I'm going to share with you a scary story that happened to me a few years ago. I have tons and tons of scary stories because several years ago me and some friends were sitting at our house, and I think we were watching a movie, and all of a sudden from upstairs we heard a whole bunch of sounds and thumps and bumps and all kinds of other stuff going on. And when someone went upstairs to look, it had looked like a tornado and went through the upstairs. So we all got started talking about different aspects of paranormal, and we decided to become a paranormal group. So we started doing investigations and stuff like that. And a few years ago we had an opportunity to go visit Waverly Hills Manor in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was a really, really cool place. If you don't know much about the history of Waverly Hills, look it up because it's really interesting. It was a sanatorium for tuberculosis originally, and people were brought in from all over the country to go there. And they have what's called the Death Tunnel, which you may have heard about. But it was a tunnel that went from the hospital. The hospital sits up on a hill, and there's a train track at the bottom. And there's an underground tunnel that they use to transport the bodies from the hospital to the train track. But we went to investigate, and there's 5 floors. The 5th floor is kind of a partial floor, but there's 5 floors, and we had set up our command on the 2nd floor. And while one of our investigators was trying to get our equipment set up and our video cameras running, I had decided to go outside, or back down the stairs and out to have a cigarette. Yes, I smoke. It's horrible. But anyway, so I walked down from the 2nd floor, really close to the death tunnel, to go outside. And I went to near where our van was, and I was standing there smoking a cigarette, and I could see the top of the building, the Waverly Hills building. And while I was standing there, a figure came out from behind one of the elevator shafts and walked over towards the edge of the roof and was just standing there staring at me. So I got on the radio, and I radioed our investigators and asked them where they were, if anybody was on the top floor. And everybody came back where they were, and nobody was on the top floor. And one of our investigators decided that they were going to run up and check on what I was seeing, because I shared with them what I was seeing. And while this was going on, the figure on the roof just was standing there staring at me the entire time, sort of moving its head, questioning who I was or what I was doing. And before our investigator could make it upstairs, the figure walked back behind the elevator shaft and disappeared. So by the time our investigator got there, nothing was up there. And I saw the investigator come out onto the roof, and he was looking around, and I was yelling at him, telling him where it went, and he found nothing up there. It was a really creepy experience, though, the way it was like looking at me and checking me out. It was really, really creepy. So I finished my cigarette and went back inside, went up the stairs, and I was headed down the 2nd floor corridor, and I could smell breakfast foods. And I noticed that I was passing one of the areas that was the kitchen, or a kitchen at Waverly's, and half of the wall was missing. So while I was walking, I could smell the food coming from the kitchen, which was really strange. But then I happened to notice an area where it was really, really dark, like darker than dark, and it was a figure that was standing there at the edge of that wall, and it was waiting for me to walk past it. And that was the worst experience ever, of having to just sort of focus and walk past it. And yes, as a paranormal investigator, I should have, checked it out, but I was by myself and wanted to, I just wanted to get with everybody else and tell them what was going on. But as I was passing this figure, I saw its head turn with me as I was passing. And it was really, really creepy, and it creeped me out. But I sort of took off running down the hallway. So a funny part of the story is a lot of our investigators thought I was actually some sort of entity because I was running down the hallways and freaking out. But yeah, that's my spooky story. Again, I've got several. maybe I'll share them again at some point. Maybe we could turn this into sort of a series. I don't know. Let me know what you think, maybe down in the comment section if you would like to hear more spooky, scary stories. So yeah.
My scary story is more creepy than anything, but when I was little, I don't remember how old I was exactly. I was probably like 5 or 6 maybe. I don't know. But there was one night that I was in my bed because I was getting ready to go to sleep, and I was laying in bed trying to fall asleep, and I had this stuffed toy. It was either Bert or Ernie. I don't remember which one, but it was one of the two, and it sang Twinkle Twinkle Little Star when you pushed on its stomach, I think. It was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star though. But it would go off randomly, and the batteries were dying, so it was at that point where it would sing it really, really slow. It would sound really distorted, kind of demonic, honestly. It would just go off randomly sometimes. And I got scared because it was creeping me out. So I ran downstairs and I told my mom about it. And she came upstairs and she stood outside of my door of my bedroom, and nothing happened. So she went back downstairs. Well, after she went back downstairs, a few minutes later, it did it again. So I went down and got her again. And I told her, okay, just stand at the bottom of the stairs and listen for it. Well, she stood at the bottom of the stairs for a while, and nothing happened. And she yelled up at me, and she's like, I don't hear anything. And I told her that's because it hasn't gone off yet. She's like, okay, I'm walking away now. So she walked away. And then a couple minutes later, I did it again. And it only happened that one night, and it didn't happen again since then, and it didn't happen at all before that, so I don't know why it happened that one night. But it was very weird, and it freaked me out because it was very little, and that's what happened. So that's my story.
I have a scary story to tell. It has to do with the house that we're filming in right now. A while ago, me and a roommate, who you guys know, Cody, we used to live here together with my dad and Lisa. And while we were living here, we had several experiences in this house that were unexplained. Now, if you don't have a firm grasp of my explanation of the paranormal, is I believe there is something, but I am unsure of what it is. Unassured of what it is. So I go and I try to debunk everything. I give it some rational explanation, not because I'm in disbelief, only because I feel like there should be some type of belief behind it. So I go and I check it out. Well, on this particular night, there were several different occasions in which something had appeared to both I and Cody. The very first being was something that Cody saw. We were sitting in the room and he was playing a video game and I was playing my guitar. Nonchalantly casual every night thing. So basically it appeared as Cody was playing his game and he leaned up. He was leaned over, concentrating on his game, very focused, leaned up, and was taking a break because it was at a cut scene in the game. Then he was kind of looking around. He said a couple things to me. I don't remember exactly what it was, and he just so happened to look down the hallway of our house out into our kitchen, and around the refrigerator he seen an object, a creature, as he described it. He wasn't really sure what it was. It didn't have a head. It just had 2 hands and a face. It peered around the refrigerator as though it was climbing around the side of it and then peered at him, which freaked him out solely. Now me, piquing my personal interest, I immediately got up and went to go see what it was. As I got up, it peered around the refrigerator at him, which, freaked him out because he immediately dropped his controller. Now Cody is not one of those to rush to conclusions. He is immediately looking at what it is going, dude, did you see that? Well, that wasn't the case. He was freaked out immediately. Tossed his controller, smacked me in the leg. I about dropped my guitar on him. I was like, what? He's like, did you see that? I'm like, no. So he explained what he had saw to me, and I got up and I walked out into the kitchen fearlessly, because that's how I am. Mainly because I didn't care. I wanted to see what he was talking about. So I got up, I walked out there, and there was nothing. Although I will say, for being someone who is non-superstitious, that looks at things as going, there is a reasonable explanation behind it, the kitchen did feel very off. It felt like something was there, but nothing was there. We turned the lights on, we viewed it several times, didn't see anything. Came to the conclusion that it was nothing, it was just his imagination overworking from playing the video game. So we went back into the room, he started playing the game, I started playing my guitar again, and that's when I started to see stuff, which kind of threw me off. I was playing my guitar and he was playing his game. He's not paying attention. He's leaned past the door. He can't see anything. I'm not. And several times from our living room, I thought I saw something run, dash. I mean, so quick that it was almost unseeable. From the living room to the kitchen, like that. It looked like a girl. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was a young child. Probably, if I had to guess, around 9 or 10, darting from the kitchen, or from the living room to the kitchen, sorry. The first time I saw it, I kind of let it go, because I thought, once again, my imagination, just running wild, no big deal. And then, I saw it again. Didn't say anything, but Cody brought it to my attention. So I told him, I was like, did you see that? He's like, yeah, I saw it. And I said, well, let's just ignore it. Let's just hope that we didn't see what we thought we saw. And at the time, living in this house was just he, I, my father, and my sister. And my sister's room is just adjacent to the kitchen. So she'd have to walk out, walk around, and go to the kitchen. But my sister does not know the meaning of quiet. So when she moves from room to room, it's like a herd of elephants running across the plains of Africa. So we knew it could not have been her, and it definitely was not my father. So, because he was definitely asleep, he had to work the next morning, and it was nowhere near time for him to get up. So this happened a couple of times. When Cody caught it, we finally got sick of being like, okay, you know, we can't say this is nothing. Cody got up and said, the next time we see it, we're going to run in there and check it out. So the next time we saw it, I literally threw my guitar, which if you know me, I don't throw my musical instruments at all. I threw it onto my bed and took off running because I wanted to see what it was. Alright? Every time we seen this object, not only did it dart into the kitchen, but it did it so fast. Like I said, it was as though it was not there. It was like out of the corner of your eye. So we got up and we got into the kitchen, and the kitchen was so cold, it was as though we stepped into a freezer. There was nothing in the kitchen. There was no evidence of anything being moving or anything being tampered with. But yet we had seen something several times. And ever since then, at a specific time at night, we've gotten a very eerie feeling from the kitchen. At least Cody and I have. And I feel as though those that live here at the house have, if they've been there around that time, have experienced that same thing, as though something is watching them from the kitchen. We don't know where, but we know it happens. And we've had several other people that have lived in the house, stayed with us, you know, just even visited, experienced the same thing. So we know for a fact there's something going on here, but we don't know what it is. So that's my scary story, and that's the end of it.
I hope you enjoyed this short little spooky story, and I hope you have a really, really spooky Halloween. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.